Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the West Ham Weekly on the West Ham Voice. Sorry, I'm late. It's been quite manic. Trying to get the show put together in this intense heat has been quite a challenge. So forgive me for being only half an hour late, but thank you all for joining me. Right, I'm going to go through the usual stuff, the usual updates about playing news, match reviews, 3 matches to review. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but I've also got someone else that's going to do a little bit of a match review for you, and that's our very own Dodzi, who some of you may know. Some of you may not. Dodzi does the match reviews for more than just a podcast. I've got to know him over the time. Goes to an awful lot of away games. See him every now and again, Frankfurt and where have you. And I asked him over the summer, would you fancy doing a video version of the match review that you do for more than just a podcast? And he said yes. And the very first one will be shown a little bit later in the show. What else have we got? Well, we've got some playing news and various things like that. Then, of course, what else? But all the latest transfers that are going on at the moment. And boy, oh boy, I've had a real head spin on all the transfer stories today, trying to get feedback as to which ones are true, which ones are not, how many of them are an absolute tosh, etc. And hopefully, I'll give you a bit of an update. There are some surprises to come, I'm afraid to say, but it is what it is. But I'll give you the latest updates that I'm aware of, and then you can go and speak to your own ITKs and find out if they're true or not. So before I do that, I know you've all been patiently waiting. Actually, no. Before I do that, I want to invite you all, of course, to join our fantasy league, our fantasy Premier League. 6foot2.co.uk. If you haven't subscribed to that, you ought to do so straight away. Claret and Booze Boys on YouTube, and of course West Ham Voice. We're all teaming up together to offer you the fantasy league. And as Andy says on the 6foot2 website, if there aren't that many of you, you've got a better chance to win a prize, haven't you? So get involved. League code is there, 7RN 1am, and do join us. I've still not done it yet, but I'll get round to it. So let's go into the chat and say hello to everyone, because I know you've all been waiting really, really patiently, and I do apologise. Bloody hell, there's about 200 messages. Good evening to you, Foxes. Not sold on Broja. Going to talk about him, although I prefer him to Ben Rama. Good evening, Oliver. Thank you for joining. Chelsea is saying that Broja has been sent home. Yep, I'm going to talk exactly about that later on. I like the idea of Broja, but I think Scamacca is still my preferred target. You might want to prefer Broja. Good evening, Ballon. No striker we could sign is going to be the finished article. Well, not true. We have to sign those who are a bit raw around the edges or with the potential to improve. Broja is perfect. In that respect, I agree. Good evening to you, John. Already announced his late watch we got here. And my guest is John. Oh, did I say I've got a guest coming on? He'll be coming on later on when I've done all my usual crap. I've just seen what his title. Dodzi, if you're watching, you want to watch out for this one. Oliver, is there such a thing as a finished article? It can always go wrong no matter who you bring in. Fernando Torres, anyone? Good shout. Good shout. Foxes, blimey, it's hot in the stars luxury. The sun. Good evening, Black Country. You early, mate. You're earlier than me. Daniela, good evening to you. We will want a striker, and like the London buses to come along. Sometimes some buses don't turn up at all. Not that I want to suggest anything there. Hammerette, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Thanks for joining us again. I hope you're well there. Howard, good evening. Mugging us off again. I was already with the brew and a do. Brew in this weather. Mate, get yourself a beer. Honestly, I was like, what shall I drink? Beer and water. Good evening to you, James. How are you? What happened to my bet that still will be 30 minutes late now? The goal. You lost the bet. Good evening, Andy. How are you? Hope you're well. I love the sun. I love the heat. But I have to be honest, when you spent all day cooped up in the house, it's not good. Stella's asleep with a beer in the garden. I wish I was, Andrew. I wish I was. When are we getting rid of Masuaku? Looks like never until his contract runs out. I'm not particularly at Hammerette. I'm not particularly excited by the Broja news. A backup striker could maybe fill Yarmo's 86-minute sub. Had my heart on Scamacca, who I could see playing centrally. Antonio crossing. Yeah. I'll update you later. WHU, you never know, we might get both. You never know, we might not get any. Howard, Andy Carroll on a pay-as-you-play deal till Crimbo when Lingard decides to come. Got an update on Lingard as well. Oh dear. I tell you what, we started off Sunday and Monday or in high spirits. Everyone was like, oh my God, we're going to get about 5 players in this week. Good evening, disabled team. How are you? You've got Perkins. Good luck. Good luck. He's a quite demanding young lad. And if he doesn't make the first team straight away, look for a transfer request by the end of the season. WHU. Maybe Moyes is looking to Broja to play Antonio's role. Dovetail with Scamacca as our new target man. We can only but dream. Disabled team. I know if he's going to get many first team games. I'm shocked by the signing though. Which one are you talking about? Broja? Who else have we got? WHU. Betty Swallocks. I've got ice cubes down my shorts. It started early. Good evening, WHU. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Peter. How are you? No way we will get Scamacca if we are getting Broja and the Mickey Mouse Watchman. The Mickey Mouse Watchman. Oh, yeah. Might not get any of them. Good evening to you, Mandy. How are you? Pongo. Let's see, the sun's got to her as well. Let's scroll down. Who else we got? Howard. Broja, all depends how mullet his foot is. Do we still buy injured players? We don't. We buy them, then they get injured, and then we're stuck with them. Yeah, is he really injured? Peter, I see Dorothy isn't going to link up with Leeds first team, so he'll be further down the line than he was with us. There you go. Nigel, who's in the Nigel, 8 likes. He ain't even said hello. That was written. Oh no, not that long ago. Okay, catching up. Henry, good evening to you. Still notification bell is on. Didn't want to miss this one. Thank you. I'm glad the bell notification is on. Good evening to you, Juha. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Who else have we got in the chat? I'm going to try and get people in that haven't said hello yet. We are Graham. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining. Anthony, good evening to you. Raum is the player I want the most, and Sal Masuaku to Stella as a cleaner for his match. Andy, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Raum, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about Raum, but there are so many left backs at the moment. I didn't know where to start. Good evening to you, Marcus. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining. Good evening, Apache. How are you as well? Mr. Tiley. Oh, dear. You're not going to be happy, mate. I'll tell you what. Evening all. Me old mucker. Late again. I am late again. I'm sorry about that. Good evening to you, Dom. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining the Committee of Small Garden Birds and Voles. Good evening to you. Good evening to you, Fremmer. How are you? I don't think I've seen you for a while. Do forgive me if I'm mistaken there. I hope you're well. Anthony, 6'2" claim we have bid accepted for Raum. Is that true? 6'2"? We got a bid accepted for Raum? No. Yes. Yes or no? No. How much we bid for Anthony? Which Anthony? Ivan Tony? Do you mean, Trodge? That's the story I'm avoiding. David, greetings from Kansas, USA. David, hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Really much appreciated. Steve, don't believe any rumors. Why can't people wait till the players actually sign on the dotted line? It's beyond me. Because we're all desperate, aren't we? We all want to know. We all want to know. Hi, David Brooks. How is over the pond, David? You're being said hello to over there. Good evening to you, Mark. I hope you're well. Hammerette, Raum is only on about $7,000 a year. $7,000 a year? You mean $7,000 a week? I would imagine. God, $7,000 a year. It's going to feel mega rich coming to us. Are you sure you got that right? Good evening to you, Lee. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining. Steve, Hugh Southern, don't believe much what he says. Reckons Broja hasn't agreed personal terms. There's more to it than that, mate. Depending on who you believe. $7,000 a year. Germany has no minimum. I think she meant $7,000 a week. Trodge, I like we going for people on low wages but high fee. None of them been spoiled. Well, good evening to you, Garino. I hope you're well. Who else have we got? Good evening, Mr. Steve Irons. How are you, mate? I hope you're well too. Robert, how are you? James, how are you? Right. Why don't we start with the first part of the show, shall we? And jump into the match reviews. So let's start off with, I mean, there's three games. I'm not going to go into too much detail, to be really honest with you, because, and like I said a moment ago, I'm going to get put Dodzi's video up for the Reading game that he was at. Let's start with Bournemouth, shall we? And it's going to be fleeting. The team, apparently, the weaker team of the two, as you know, David Moyes has gotten into a habit of splitting the team into two. He sends one team off to play one friendly, another team too. Do you want to come on for the review, or did you watch any games? That's to you. No. All right, I can't hear you, so I'm going to bring my guest on. We can talk about it. Good evening to you. Did you watch any of the games?
What I said was I watched fuck all.
Oh, fucking hell! Take it off.
I didn't expect a bit dark in here, isn't it?
It is a bit dark. Should I just bring you off and bring you back on later then?
I can plug the lights in.
Go on then. As you see, if Dodzi's watching, Dodzi's agent, he reckons.
Fucking right. Sorry. I'm still on, I forgot.
Ben Rama took a decent free kick. Apparently, this was the weaker lineup of the two games, with something like about 6 West Ham academy players in the starting lineup. Manuel Lanzini captained the team, and it was good to see Ben Rama and was taking more responsibility. He was almost like the senior spokesperson in midfield. He actually played all right, but what do you expect? I mean, do you expect much from a pre-season game, Nigel, or is this just a run around, get people match fit?
The first few were just get people match fit. It's why they play 2 games at the same time, isn't it? So they can give all 25 members of our squad a run out at the same time, because that's what it is about. The results are secondary, really, to minutes on the pitch. I mean, if it does get a bit worrying if performances are not good as the pre-season games continue. So we've got Rangers tomorrow, then there's Luton to come up. So really, by the Luton game, we want to see, near enough our best 11 on the pitch, ready to rock and roll.
I mean, in the Bournemouth game, there really wasn't much to talk about. Ben Rama took a really decent free kick. It was good to see him taking that responsibility. And we've had, not Antonio, Ogbonna was back. And it was good to see him after that long injury. It's nice for a player like that to come back. I can't honestly tell you. I was trying to get a link for it, and I couldn't find a link. So I was sort of relying on people messaging me and telling me what the players were like. No one really shone in this particular game. I don't know if you were told any differently, mate.
I paid no attention, to be honest.
Really?
Interested? Look, it's a bit early, isn't it? In the summer,
it is.
To be honest. We're starting early because of the World Cup and everything. I've been enjoying the cricket. I've been enjoying the golf, watching it, a bit of tennis. There are other sports. I get it, that football now is a 12-month for the year deal. But I feel like I've been at it hard slog since lockdown. I think we all have, haven't we?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to have a bit of a break,
Yeah, I kind of... in a way, I totally get you. I totally understand. But when you're doing things like this, it's difficult to sort of switch off. I mean, the one thing I have noticed, I'm going to talk very briefly about the Ipswich game, first of all. That was the lineup for Ipswich. It's kind of familiar team where, we got a couple of youngsters in there. Elise, who we're going to talk about in a minute, who's now gone. Coventry, who's like, we're hoping he's got that opportunity now to maybe break through, but not really sure, especially with the players that we're going for in the transfer market. Dan Chester's good attacking midfielder, and Okoflex, who was quite disappointing, really. I've been singing his praises for God knows how long, and he didn't look like he took his chance. And it's a shame. But in that game, from what I've been told, Downs looked incredibly decent. But it's only a pre-season friendly. But it's good to sort of see him sort of knuckling in and really sort of getting involved. And Harrison Ashby is the other one who I was told was pretty decent. I mean, I know it's early doors, but do you think any of our young players, I mean, Johnson and Declan have been the last ones. Do you think any of our young players are actually going to break through in any way this coming season? Or
no, I think the higher you go up the table, I think teams are it's harder to bring in a youth player, unless they are outstanding, as Declan showed. But if you think Declan got a good run in the team when we were struggling,
That's true. Yeah.
so if you look back to Mark Noble, Noble played when we was in the Championship, got then loaned out, funny enough, to Ipswich, I believe, and I don't know if it was somewhere else like Doncaster or something, but he went out on loan, and then he came back halfway through the Tevez season, and then got in at the end, the last 10, 12 games, Noble, 15 games. He didn't start that season. He was brought in, but we were a struggling team. We were losing games. So,
but that's the interesting thing about who was managing back then.
Well, it was Pardew at first, wasn't it? And then Pardew let him go out on loan, and then Kirbishley had him, and sort of from the November onwards, I think Kirbishley came in, wasn't it? Early.
It's going to take me slightly offline of what I was going to talk about, but that's not the sort of thing that Moyes would do, is it? Because it was interesting because I looked at I watched some of the Reading game at the weekend. Well, what I could of it, I was otherwise occupied. But he spoke about Aged. You know, he said that Aged looked really good in the Reading game, but he also added it would, something to something like it's going to take him a little bit of time to get acclimatized to Premier League, and it sounds to me. And this is a player that we just spent near on £30 million for. It sounds to me he's going to do to Aged what he does to most players, where he'll just ease them in slowly. So even your price tag doesn't necessarily mean you're going to start.
No, I mean, if you look at he did that before, didn't he? With other players, Ben Rama didn't just walk into the team when he was bought as a player. So, and Moyes is a very loyal manager to his team, and I suppose and it is strange because if you think last season at the end, we weren't that strong, were we? But it was actually the goal scoring where we weren't strong. Defensively, I don't think was too bad. We were still losing games by only the one clear goal. So defensively, we weren't too bad. What happened was the goals dried up, and that put more pressure on the back. So the fact that he's signed a goalkeeper, well, obviously we've re-signed a goalkeeper, that was going to happen, but then to go out and buy a centre back when it was going forward was the problem.
Yeah.
So, that's what really we're all waiting for, isn't it?
Well, we're going to get on to transfers in a minute, mate, because it's been
no, actually, it's getting a bit, yeah. Do you know what? I love today. I've enjoyed.
Have you?
With yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a break now, isn't there? We know people say that, and someone else says exactly the same thing. Now what we got is people saying one thing and another one saying the other. Well, someone's going to be right and someone's going to be wrong.
Going to be wrong.
And just I think because I'm mates with one of them, don't mean I think he's right, but don't mean I think he's wrong. No, I know who's telling him what, and who's to say that they're right.
Yeah. Well, that's very true. But let's hold that thought because I think people are going to be quite upset when we talk about transfers later on. Anyway, back to
it. I'll enjoy it.
Back to Ipswich. Zuma scored a goal after it was a cross hit from Antonio, right-footed cross from Antonio on the edge of the box. Zuma headed, saved by the keeper. He got on the end of it of the rebound. Like I said, from what I've been told, Aged looked quite assured in defence, which is kind of good to hear. But then, as I've said, Moyes then turned around and said, "Well, we ease the player in," or whatever words he kind of used. And then we had Reading, where I think that's where I think the games really started to take. That game took an interest because we had all the internationals back. And we saw Downs playing, with kind of what do you want to call them, the bigger players of the team, Bowen and Declan and all that sort of stuff. And that was quite a good run out. And this is where I want to bring in. I don't know if you've seen this video earlier on, mate.
No.
You know what I've done, or what I haven't done.
You forgot to tee it up, haven't you?
Forgot to tee it up. So I'm going to tee it up now.
No. You could always go on to 6foot2.co.uk and read Dodzi's roundup.
Well, there you are. You
From the
see,
Reading game.
I did introduce. I don't know if you saw. I did a clip earlier on. I put it out on its own earlier on as a
No.
mini show, and I
Oh.
went exclusively for West Ham Voice.
Whoa,
And
did you now? I'd have had something to
no,
say about that.
hang on. Exclusively for West Ham Voice. Owen for more than just a podcast. Owen for 6foot2.co.uk. There you go. There you go. So I'm saying exclusively video wise. There it is. Right. Let's get ready for this. Dodzi.
Hi, well, I've just returned from the pre-match friendly West Ham v Reading. So an interesting game. Saw us have our two new signings, Aguerd and Downs, make real impressive debuts, to be fair. Downs looks like a good replacement and maybe even an upgrade on Mark Noble. And Aguerd kept a difficult opponent well in his pocket the whole game. Lots of changes at half-time. First 15-20 minutes of the second half was a lot better than the first half. First half was a bit old West Ham, not really pushing forward and attacking as we like them to do. But second half, like I say, first 15-20 minutes, yes, we certainly went at them. Really good to see Vlasic get a goal. Took it well. Good cross from Creswell, I believe, on from the wing. And Vlasic just headed it back across the goal. A little bit of trouble in the stands when Reading equalised. What a surprise. Reading seemed to see us as their biggest derby and seemed to have an irrational hatred of us. Police came up, dealt with a few things. So one Reading fan taken out and also a West Ham fan. About 2,500, 3,000 West Ham fans, I think. Probably took up 40% of the whole crowd. Very disappointing attendance for Reading. Good to see Paul Ince getting a bit of abuse as well, which is always a delight, as I'm sure you all agree. So all in all, disappointing, not as good as you would hope, but a pre-season friendly which gets some match time and game time into the players' legs. The youth came out quite well as well. 3 or 4 of them came on and did themselves proud. But still, on to the next one. Rangers away. Come on, you Irons.
Have you ever seen Dodzi look so serious?
No, yeah, but I'm glad people get to hear him now, because now they know that I actually do a really good impression of him. See?
Look, my thanks to you, Dodzi. It's really appreciated, mate. And he actually did message me after. He said he didn't realise how nerve-wracking it will be to be behind the camera. So I really appreciate it. And you know, as the season goes on, he will become a main feature of the channel. So my thanks to him. It was good review. I mean, he talked about the youth. He talked about a few players, and I think that what I was going to say to you earlier, mate, was the one thing I've noticed in the snippets that I've seen was the same issues that we were having at the tail end of last season in the Premier League. The left of defence, Creswell. Didn't seem to be communicating well with whoever was playing. And all right, that you know, there were a number of players that played in that position. Diop played for half a game, and Ogbonna, and God knows who else, etc. But Creswell looked like there was no communication there, and we know we've kind of had a bit of an issue on the left side of defence during the season. And with the greatest of respect to him, we all love him, but Antonio just didn't look like a striker. There were a couple of occasions in the games in pre-season where he kind of floundered a little bit and tried to get on the end of balls and just not that, and miss kicking and stuff like that. I mean, we need to strengthen there, don't we? Left back and some kind of attacking force, don't we?
Yeah, I think left back you could probably get away with another season if you was picking. Going forward, obviously was the downfall of the season at the end when push came to shove at that running in April and May. Scoring goals became the problem. If we didn't have Bowen, it would have been even more noticeable.
Yeah.
So I mean, the fact that Bowen sort of picked up the baton from Antonio and surpassed him really pushed the season on. Without Bowen's goals, which you know is probably his best return for us, isn't it? It just would have been different. I don't know. You know, the thing is, I suppose, you know, we're all pleased that we don't know what Moyes is thinking, in a way that it's not all our business is not just thrown out there for all and sundry to know what's going on. But I suppose in a way we have to deal with the fact we don't know what Moyes is thinking. is that we don't know realistically how he's intending to set up, and therefore what targets he's really going for or not going for. There seems to be a bit of a debate over now, doesn't there?
Well, the debate is just getting a little bit. I mean, I was quite surprised when we were chatting earlier with our mutual friend. I was actually quite surprised because I was actually thinking that he was just going to affirm everything that's been, because there's been such solid news about a number of players. I was just expecting him to go, yep, tick, 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 and that wasn't the case, and that actually threw me a bit.
Yeah,
you know.
I bet you had to change all your graphics, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did. Well, the irony, I put a show out on Sunday on the key players that we were linked to, and didn't say, oh, for sure we're signing these players, but kind of like alluded to.
No, but did you not say, shall I announce it? And I went, oh, I wouldn't if I was you.
Yeah, you did actually, yeah. Right, let's move on to some other quick news before we move on. For those of you who are lucky to be season ticket holders, the tickets are now on sale for the Europa Conference League playoff, which is going to be either on the 18th of August or the 25th of August, because the reason why we don't know the date yet is because the team that we're going to end up playing hasn't played their playoff yet. And then when they win and move to the next stage, there'll be a draw to determine who's going to be at home or away. So for those of you who are season ticket holders and bond holders, and I dare say for those who aren't at the moment, look out for these dates. The 18th of August and the 25th of August, or the 25th of August, is going to be our home game for the playoff. Also, a couple of other tickets are available. Now, I looked at this earlier today, and apparently the Man City first game at home, Premier League game, is sold out. Apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, well, I know you're being a facetious bastard. I fucking fell for that myself. When you look at the screen, it says there are no seats available. But as Nigel knows, what they do is everyone that's bought a season ticket, they automatically say, yeah, those seats have gone. So if you're looking to go to the Man City game, keep trying. There will be tickets available eventually. And the Nottingham Forest game, the tickets are available now to season ticket and away ticket holders. So if any of you are season ticket holders, etc.,
those on 32 points.
Are you on 32 points?
No, I've got to wait till Wednesday.
Why? Oh, right, okay. Are you going?
The points of the points have all been realigned, haven't they?
They have.
So, depending on my grandchild turning up, yes, I hope to be in Nottingham.
Well, I'll have the ticket off you if you don't.
I wouldn't dare do a thing like that. Talk to me after.
Of course. I'm talking about just looking after it for you. I'm not talking about going. Right, let's go a bit chat, and then we'll go into the playing news. Use the links minus the 4 at the end. It will show you all the transfers. Yeah. Oh, this is the website. See, he knows more about your website than you do. Good evening to you, West Ham News official. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, is he scouting? Is he? All copyrighted on here, Don't forget, if you use any of his stuff, put the tagline at West Ham Talks Bollocks, boys.
Oh, do you know who that is then?
No.
Who's behind?
He's got to be on Twitter, though, isn't he?
I would have thought.
You call yourself West Ham News official
if you're not on Twitter?
Is he official? Did you think he works for the club?
Well, do you think he works for the club?
Well, he's official. I mean, he's as opposed to unofficial.
Well, we know who the unofficial is, young Jake.
Yeah, Jake.
Well, I'm going to have to... West Ham News official, email me at westhamvoice@gmail.com and tell me who you are. And let's get a link up together. If you are official, then, I might as well quote him. Sod Sean, I might as well start using him as
get more sense.
Good evening, Conan. I hate to say it, but I reckon we're getting F all other than Lingard. Hold that thought, Conan. Fuck it, I don't think I want to do the transfer bit of the show, mate. I'm really worried about it. Hammer it. I've enjoyed the highs and lows of being a Hammer since a little girl. The heartache just makes the highs even more intense. you're going to get an awful lot of lows before the season kicks off. Fremmer, I think I've got to stop that, haven't I? I'm putting people off because people think now that we're not going to get any more players in. We will. Fremmer, I think old Pete needs a bit of a slap and tickle. Old Pete needs a slap. I don't know what's going on there. You're probably chatting amongst yourselves. Here we go, Sharky. Stell's worrying me about the transfer news. Don't be too worried. We have bought 3 players already, haven't we? I mean, that's not bad. So, David, fans moaning about the game, giving the players a run out. That's it. That's all it is. Mark, Antonio was frustrating, kept dropping in for the ball instead of being on the last man, chasing through the ball. But that's his game, isn't it? Well, what do we expect? Antonio isn't a striker, is he? He is going to chase the ball, isn't he? So, yeah, that's the game he plays, isn't it? Unfortunately. What else we got? Anthony, the only youngsters who impressed me was Alese. What's your thoughts on Alese? I'm going to talk about him in a minute, but I mean, I won't lie to you, mate, and I know he'll end up being 6th or 7th choice, but I was actually disappointed he's gone.
Perhaps it was for the best of his career in a way. He's gone to a good team, isn't he? Sunderland. I'm pleased he's gone to a good team in Sunderland. Hopefully they can re-establish themselves back in the Championship before they're back where they belong in the Premier League with us. It'll be interesting. You know, we can all go down the list of youth players that have gone and left us. But how many, I always say, how many have embarrassed us? How many have gone to have careers that we have done that to?
Lampard,
and when I say careers,
Cole.
No. And this is the thing. You can't count them because they had careers at West Ham and they were sold to raise funds. They ain't been let go on the cheap. Yeah,
and they weren't let go when they were in the academy.
And at the end of the day, yeah, Lampard went because we sacked his old man and his uncle, so that was going to happen. Cole went because we've been relegated and we needed the money. Yeah, this is different. This is about you're bringing kids through the academy. And you got to look at them and seriously say, are they going to displace the people that are there? We've got 5 centre backs at the moment, so it's probably for the best of him.
But given where he's gone, I mean, I'm jumping ahead of the show, but given where he's gone, wouldn't you? I know he only had a year left in his contract, and I think there was an option of an additional year. If Sunderland were interested, wouldn't you have said to Sunderland, take him on loan? You know, and then we'll do it. You know, if you're happy.
Sometimes you just got to not cut your losses. Sometimes you just got to go. No, this is it. Off you go. You know, and see where it happens. You know, if you look back, you know, we had that with that player who came from Man United, the striker, wasn't it, Fletcher? Yeah. You know, we were sort of the Sunderland back then, where we took a player, a young player who was supposed to be good, knocking on the door of the first team. I will take you, we'll give you first team football. Look what happened. You know, he's had to fall down the leagues. You don't know realistically with academy players until they're out there. And the thing is I suppose we're fishing in different seas now, isn't it? If we're expecting to be regular top 8, he's got to have better players, and the youth players coming through have got to be akin to the Declan Rices and the Johnsons that hit the ground running.
I wasn't going to talk about this tonight because you know I'm writing a script that I've told you about.
2 weeks, yeah. Go on.
It's all right because it's not a timely. It's not time sensitive.
For that.
Thank fuck for that. But I mean, should we continue to have an academy? I know that's quite controversial, but should we?
Right, hold up. So, how much did we get for Elise?
£500,000.
Right,
but how much does it cost? 25% sell on.
How much does it cost to run the academy a year? Couple of million, 3 million?
Probably a lot more, yeah.
But for 500 grand, we've just bankrolled that. You still a couple of more. All of a sudden, you're running your academy where you got the chance to bring it through. The academy can fund itself if you can produce players, and you can call yourself the Academy of Football if you're producing footballers. So if these players go on and have careers away from West Ham but are still professional footballers,
that's still a product of the academy.
Then it's still a product of our academy. Yeah. We have helped produce footballers. Now the ultimate aim is to produce our own. the lot, when we sell Declan Rice, what would that? That's 15 years worth of academy money there, isn't it? Easy, maybe more.
This is an interesting comment, because I people that watch this show regularly know how much I've been talking about Okoflex for a long time. And as I said, I don't think he showed enough. He had his opportunity to shine during the preseason, and I think he fluffed it, which is a shame. But Dabs is saying about Dan Chesters, he is another good talent. I thought Okoflex would be the player that might break through this season. It sounds like he's gone backwards. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Dabs. Chesters looks decent. There are a few. There's Harris and Ashby that people are talking about. Now that we've let Fredericks go, Ashby could be like the third choice right back, right wing back. And Chesters is a decent player, but I'm kind of expecting one or two of these players to go out on loan. But this is why I asked the question about Alese. If we send these players out on loan, there's no point sending them to Division 1 teams, is there? They need to be playing like in the Championship, or they need to be playing at a decent level, even abroad. A lot of, like, look at Chelsea, for example. They send their players everywhere. I know they've got a different mantra, different approach, but if we want to see what
you
our
say
players
that
are
Chelsea's mantra, how many actually get into their team? I mean, they've had a spate with the Mason Mount and the Tammy Abrahams, but if you look at Chelsea's mantra, is sign up the best talent available wherever they can and sell them on. Of course, it can burn them, because you got to remember they had Salah, they had De Bruyne, they had Lukaku. So they have these players, and they've got so many that they then disappear and filter out, and then they if anything, they've been embarrassed by the quality of those players, what they've got to come on. But they may turn around and say, well, actually, when you look at what trophies we've won without them, they can survive by having that mantra. Where us, one thing I will say is we played a lot of the youth against Zagreb at home.
We did.
Now we lost that game, did we not?
Yeah, but by a fluke goal.
Well, yeah, but hold on.
Goal.
Now, I'll turn it on its head a little bit, and I'll say, if they were ready for the Premier League, wouldn't they have beat Zagreb like the Premier League boys did in the first game in Europe?
Fair play. I mean, they did it. They did put a good account.
They didn't embarrass themselves.
No, they
we
didn't.
lost
Absolutely
1-0.
not. Yeah.
And there was some good, and it was good to see a West Ham team, first team, having that. But at the end of the day, they didn't win the game, did they?
No, yeah, understood. But I think if they played dreadful, I remember the game. What's the game that Allardyce put all the kids in the cup?
Yeah, Nottingham Forest away. We lost 5-0.
Forest, and we lost. What was it? 5-0. 5-0.
But not only did that, what Allardyce did there, he didn't just put loads of kids out. He changed the formation. So in the youth team under Tony Carr, they never played with 3 at the back, and he went, right, go on, out you go.
And he basically wanted to. I felt that he basically wanted to embarrass the academy. As if to sort of rub our noses in it.
Yeah, but that was more. I think that was more to the fans that he was getting grief not playing them.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Almost like he was proving a point.
Yeah.
Right. Let's look at a few more comments before we go into the next part of the show. West Ham news official: is Broja an injury? I see a cast around his ankle. So we've been told. I haven't seen the photos whether he's got a cast around his ankle or not.
Air boot.
Is it an air boot? So
yeah, it's not a cast. It's an air boot. So that could be just a light sprain or something like
that. Daniela, I'm okay. Had a crappy day. Knocked myself out in the house, and then the bike broke down. And I shouldn't laugh. Sorry, you've had such a shit day, Daniela. I hope it's getting better by watching this show. I'm not so sure it's going to be.
She knocked herself out of the house.
She locked herself out of the house.
Oh, did you call a locksmith? I hope you did.
Oh, there you go. Nigel's a locksmith. I'll give you his number later on. Steve, Moyes has to be held to account if no striker comes in to be the third win. It ain't the third win, though. I think it's the 5th or 6th since we sold Allaire. I could be wrong. Or since he's been at West Ham, should I say. Third win on the trot, no one coming in apart from Bowen. Let's talk about and I'll get your views on whether we're going to get a striker later on, Nigel. Good evening, Razor. Nice to see Chester's getting in the squad. Yep, absolutely. Been rating him for a long time. Watching him in the under-23 seems a better chance than Flex, in my opinion, along with Ashby. Yeah, a lot of people are saying much the same thing. Good evening to you, Lee. Good evening, Garino. I hope you're both well. West Ham News official, bro. I bet he's going to write all this up in Twitter on tomorrow morning. Broja back from pre-season with Chelsea, but he looks to be injured with a cast. Yep. So what's the point in signing him? Well, as you said, as Nigel said, it's not a cast. I don't think it's just a precaution. I think. Andrew, thoughts? The first 10 minutes of the second half were great. Then it went downhill. I guess you're talking about Reading. Maybe Razor again. Broja, okay if true, but Scamacca way better plus Newman's choice. Well, we're going to talk about Newman's choice and I don't know if we're allowed to, but we'll maybe touch on it.
You know me.
Good. Then we'll talk about it. Plus Newman's choice. Who should we leave transfers to? Not during the day. Well, this is the thing. Who should? I talked an awful lot last week. I think in last week's show, my feelings that we should have a director of football. I think that should be the go between the manager and the board. Of course, the manager gets a look in. Of course, you need the manager's approval. But yeah, it worries me.
That's a tough one with director of football in a way, because that would have to be someone given the power to have complete run of the football department. So
for longevity, managers come and go. All right, directors of football can come and go as well. But given our history of the way we've managed our transfers over the years, scattergun approach. Sullivan wanted to give managers here's your present, here's a striker, here's a midfielder, or whatever. Given our history of that, wouldn't it be the best thing for West Ham United to have a director of football? So not give too much power to Sullivan, and then not give too much. So what Sullivan has done,
but it's got to be a football person to come in. So if you look at the model, it's basically a European model. We never had this back in the day. You know, in a way, John, you know, if you look back to the 40 years ago, John Lyle and perhaps the people that come after that, they run the football clubs from top to bottom. So in a way, what you're saying is a director of football takes care of the footballing side of the business. He should dictate the mantra of the club or the ethos of the club and the type of players, but then it should still be left to the manager to decide who he wants, or the coach.
Absolutely.
Because it's his job on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not suggesting for a minute that the director of football just goes and buys the players.
But in this country, it's very rarely we've done it the right way. But if you look, sort of Chelsea have got Petr Cech. And if you look, that's the European model. You go to Bayern Munich, I think they've got Oliver Kahn.
Yeah.
They've had like the likes of Rummenigge and Hones, people like that doing it.
Footballing people.
Ex-footballing people. But smart ones, you know, not just any old Tom, Dick, or Mark from Canning Town. You know, actual intelligent players.
Well, this is what I was about to ask. What? Is this Mark Noble's future role?
Well, Mark Noble, did he get an O level? I don't know. As someone that got educated in the area, I didn't. So, you know,
but would it not be someone who understands the club, someone who knows the psyche of the club?
Yeah, but they've got to know how football runs as well. The most important thing is, because I think there's a lot of people in British football that could easily understand West Ham and what we are. Yeah, because we're well known for it. So that's not that. What you want is a professional football person, someone that knows the game sort of inside and out, has worked at quite a high level.
You're talking about not only about playing the game, but also how a club's run, how transfers are done, and
how to deal with agents, and put down a marker, bring in. You know, it'd be on his head to hire the manager. But do you know the problem you got there is you've got a control freak that owns 30 or is 40% of the club. He ain't going to let it go.
And now you've got a control freak, the manager, who doesn't want to do anything anyone else's way. So that's going to clash, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. John, did you get the email? No, mate, I didn't. But it might be one that I might have received while I was trying to.
This
put
is the Rangers game still. I don't know if you know about this.
No, go on.
Season ticket holders, we get to watch it free. So the club's going to email us out a code.
Okay,
And
I didn't know that.
I think we're going to be able to go on. I don't know if we've got to download their app or whatever. So to watch the game, but you got to register before 5 o'clock. Even though the game's at a 7:45 kickoff, you got to register with the code before 5 o'clock tomorrow. And then you can watch it. But that's season ticket holders and the corporates. Everybody else that wants to watch the game, now bear in mind it's a pre-season friendly, has got to pay. Now
John's right. John's right. Then it is a cheek. It's out of order. Yeah, I agree with you, John. No, I haven't seen it, so it's probably waiting for me after I do the show. Bill, Antonio's so unpredictable. Not even he knows what he's going to do. That is so true. Andy, Dodzi is doing a watch along and stream for Rangers on his new channel. He ain't ready. He ain't ready. Good evening, Funky T. Wasn't just Bowen who backed up the goal. Ben Rama was third to. It wasn't just Bowen who backed up the goals. Ben Rama was Ben Rama contributed last season.
How many?
I don't know, but he came third in terms of goals.
Oh, yeah, but if you scored third and you've only got 6,
it don't matter. Still 6 important goals.
If he come third, then obviously there's a few other players perhaps that need to have a look at themselves as well. Well,
that's true. Good evening, Schmeagol. I hope you're well. You haven't missed much, mate, because I didn't start till 8:30, so you didn't miss much at all. Good evening, Sean. How are you, mate? Thank you for that link. Funny, Sean, I didn't get any comments. I didn't get any emails about it. I'm quite surprised. I'll tell you all about it afterwards, Nigel, when we're offline. Daniela, would love to go to the City game. It was my first game at Upton Park in '73. Get yourself a ticket. There'll be some available. GP, I'm a Stell ticket holder. Best fan. Thank you very much, mate. I always like to be complimented like that. Andrew, only have 3
points. Do they get loyalty points? Do they still?
Not yet, but we'll introduce that later.
If you've not got a Nectar card, a Stell card.
A Stell card. Sharky, what lies has Sean Whetstone told you today, Stell? Well, if only you knew, mate. If only you knew. Scarborough Hammer, good evening to you. When the 3 reliable sources say it's close, then it's close. Who are the 3 reliable sources that you believe are reliable, Scarborough? Because I'll tell you what, I'll bet you they're not. I've got to stop knocking the ITKs, haven't I? I'm going to get a bad reputation for myself. Let's see who else we got. Graham, Stella, I'm Googling how to tie a noose. Don't worry, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It could be worse, but anyway, GP, stupid decision to sell him by 3 Muppets who couldn't figure out the 2 cans and a piece of string make a telephone. Well, I think Nigel's just explained why Lacey is gone. So I kind of get it. I'm disappointed. I won't lie, but I get it. JTD, good evening to you. I hope we get Broja as long as we don't pay more than £30 million. Good evening to you, Chris. What's stalling the Sarah and Dennis? They've gone completely quiet, but you never know. They might be ones that might come back in the spotlight. You see, the thing is, we get carried away with the stories that are repeated over and over and over again. And then the stories that aren't mentioned could be the ones that might actually happen. Sarah and Dennis, Watford, Nigel?
Yeah, look, the way West Ham's transfer window's operating, I suppose anything could happen. I mean, nobody called Flynn Dennis, no matter what they say.
Exactly.
It was, and don't buy into this. West Ham bought him in 24 hours because
it doesn't happen, does it?
That don't happen in a deal. It would have been done over 3 or 4 days at least. And the fact that they did that and managed to keep it quiet, then perhaps that just shows you the type of operation. But perhaps, as we keep saying, we'll talk about it later, there does seem to be a battle going in behind the scenes. Maybe not a battle, but there's frustrations on all sides.
Yeah. Ballon, how many under-23 players make it into the first team in Premier League clubs? Not many. Well, that's true. I mean, there are some clubs that are more successful than us, than others, should I say, not just us. But yeah, on the whole, you're right. But they've got to come from some under 23 academy at some stage, whether that's abroad or here. Good evening to you, Alf. I hope you're enjoying your holiday in Turkey, mate. Thank you for tuning in. Good evening, Anastasios. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining.
Is that a relation?
Is
that a relation? No.
It isn't. It isn't.
Oh no. Oh,
No, it isn't. Trudge, Perkins was promoted to England team. His age bracket. How much is that worth in tribunal? I wasn't going to talk about it, but I think they're trying to negotiate something like £1 million, aren't they? Is that correct?
Well, it'll probably go to the tribunal, which is about 5 or 6 people who sit down. I think a couple of ex-pros, a couple of administrators and whatnots sit down, and they'll come up with. It went on years ago, believe it or not. When we sold David Cross to Man City, it went to tribunal. So, it's an old way of settling disputes. We normally with players that were sort of out of contract, but clubs could hold on to their registration for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. The Perkins one is a bit strange, because I mean, look, people can talk about tapping up, but if you think that West Ham have never done it,
then you're fooled. Yeah,
then you're a fool. That's what happens in football. He's obviously looked at it for whatever reason and decided Leeds United. One thing for Leeds United that he may have been sold on is you got to remember that while we talk about the Red Bull model, Jesse Marsh has actually done it.
True.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why Leeds would have looked at Jesse Marsh was for that reason alone.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah.
And the other thing quickly about Leeds, that they've sold Phillips for 42 million and Rafinha for 50 million. Mm-hmm. Did we really bid 100 million to buy the both in January? Did we really have 100 million in January? Really?
No, of course not.
It does.
But even Moyes has come out and said that we bid for Phillips.
Well, but he, he's got the same sort of strong, hasn't he?
So but some people have actually accused him of being a bored stooge, like trying to sort of. Why would he do that? Why would he want to talk? Say that we made a bid if we hadn't. What good is it to him?
Hold up, and this is the thing. He may say that. He may have been told that.
Right.
It's quite possible we did make a bid. It's just there's a lot of things that don't add up there. The figure was 50 million, but we didn't say if that was each or for the pair.
Yeah.
No, and this is the thing. And then you think, well, if it was for the pair, bit undervalued, but it was January, they were struggling. If it was each 100 million, we were going to spend 100 million in January. When the pot was only supposed to be 50 million.
At most, yeah.
And that was 50 million with Kretinsky's money as well.
Yeah. Razor, if Moyes doesn't play Zuma on the right and Agüero on the left in the first game, shows that he needs a brain cell. Well, I think Ogbonna will start. I think if Ogbonna gets up to match fitness, I think you'll see a starting lineup of Zuma and Ogbonna until he eases Agüero in. I really actually do. GP, Ogbonna will last 1 or 2 seasons tops. Alese would have been good to take his place. Well, yeah.
Agüero will.
Agüero will, yeah.
At the end of the day, you got Dawson there, who's if he's loyal, that's what he's going to stick with, isn't it? Dawson did not let us down last season.
It's a good time to go into the next bit of the show because when it comes to defenders. So let's just put up the video. Right, so let's start off now that we're talking about central defenders. is a Diop. Now, apparently, he was due to go to Fulham. There was meant to be a deal. It was something like 17 million. Apparently, Moyes wants 20 for the player. But now, I'm not saying permanently, but it sounds like he's pulled the transfer. He's kind of changed his mind. Now, we don't know what the injury is to Dawson and how serious it might be. We know he missed the Reading game because of injury. It might only be a minor knock. So, but I've got some theories, and this is all to do with future as well. You know, we've all talked quite a bit about Dawson and Ogbonna. They're on the wrong side of 30. Dawson's going to be 33 this season. Ogbonna's already 34. They've both got 1 year left on their 1 year left on their contracts. And Moyes has got to sort of think about at the end of this season, he's not got to replace one centre back, even though he's got a Gerd in. He's got to replace two. So could it be that Dawson, maybe he's having second thoughts on letting Dawson go? Sorry, not Dawson, Diop go, and maybe thinking, well, maybe for the longevity, it would be best to keep Diop because he's going to need him. He's going to need those bodies next season. But also, I'm wondering if Moyes is going to start adopting a three at the back more often next season. He kind of did it, and we kind of failed quite dismally because we didn't have the players to do it. But I mean, what's your thoughts on a player like Diop? I quite like Diop. I don't actually want Diop to go. I think when Diop has come in last season, he actually didn't let us down. He had a couple of dodgy games, but then you tell me a player that probably didn't have a dodgy game last season. But then when you're on the bench for a long time, you almost need a game to acclimatise, don't you?
Yeah.
And I mean, what's your thoughts on Diop? Should we be keeping him or?
I don't dislike him. I don't think, you know, there's you could say that about a lot of us, that, you know, there's a mistake in him.
Yeah.
You know, but then again, there's a mistake in Dawson.
Yeah.
You know, but to get a top quality centre half to come and play for us and stay with us forever is very difficult. So therefore, I'd see him as especially if we want to compete in Europe and if we want to compete in cups. These are the people that we need in our squad, because it's almost like, you know, I liken it to the British Lions team. When they go on tour, they'll have their Saturday test team, and then they'll have their Wednesday provincial friendly team. Totally different, but then what that does is it enables the Wednesday team know they're the reserves. Yeah. So if they do well and there's an injury, as there will be, they'll be the ones that go into the first team. And that's how, if you build your squad right with really good, decent players, you could do that in the cup competitions. So we could have predominantly, you know, we have our best 11 out, and then we can go in with the League Cup, with the Conference League this season, and pick 7 or 8 off the bench.
Isn't that what Moyes tried to do last season? But it was all kind of thrown into turmoil when we picked up all the injuries. We picked up the injury with Ogbonna, and then picked up the 2 injuries with Zuma.
Yeah,
but so it kind of derailed it, didn't it?
That's right. I mean, that's a good point. If we hadn't got those injuries, what would have happened? You know, players would have been fresher. At the end of the day, we can the better quality he's got on the bench. And the only grumble really I've got about January is not that he said I couldn't find anyone to go into the first team, which I can understand. It ain't the best market to shop in January, but surely he could have looked at the bench when a geezer was picking 2 goalkeepers sometimes to sit on the bench. You know, are you telling me he couldn't find an outfield player that was better than Darren Randolph?
Well, this is the thing, and people have been asking again about the under-23s. I mean, Alpha's got a question about the under-23s. How much do the under-23s have to show until they prove themselves better than an underperforming first team or a newly bought player that didn't hit the ground running? So we had just this very issue last season, didn't we? We had players who weren't performing, we had a lot of injuries, and then we had under-23s who were chomping at the bit, and you would have thought, Alese is a prime example. You know, we got injuries to Ogbonna, we got injuries to Zuma. Dawson was carrying a knock, you know, and then Cresswell at one point when, you know, he got a back injury. There was one point where we lost all our first team defenders, and Alese, as an example, still couldn't get a shout. And you would have thought that Moyes would have gone, look, see what happens. You know, it might be a disaster. It might not be. I remember, who's the goalie that we brought in, damn it, for that game years ago when we brought him in as a sub, and he had a bit of a mare.
Sasarilic.
No, not Illich, the youngster, Bywater.
Or Stephen Bywater.
Stephen Bywater. You know, so it can go wrong. You know, there are occasions where
Bywater was brought in after the Sasarilic debacle. That was when Shaka Islop broke his leg in the Bradford game when we won 5-4. And then Bywater came in for that game, but was very panicky, obviously. So the next game after that, we'd brought in Sasarilic, who was Charlton's reserve keeper. So we brought him in, and if the people think Roberto was bad, Sasarilic, without doubt, gave the worst goalkeeping performance I've ever seen in a West Ham shirt. We lost 4-0 at home to Everton, and then we went. I think we went back to sort of Bywater, or I think it might have been Craig Forrest was finally back fit, you know. But Sasarilic was a one-hit wonder. It was that bad. Luckily, we'd only loaned him for the month.
So next one up, Souček. Look, we don't know what's going on here. I've got a theory, and when we talk about transfers in a minute, that if we do sign Onana, Amadou Onana from Lille,
What's his name?
I think the minute we do, I think this guy's gone. No, what's his name? Yeah, got that.
It sounds like an Irish fruit seller, isn't it? But anyway, Souček, I don't know. But then again, if you again, what I say is that if you want to do well in the cups and in the league, you got to have Souček there and bring in Onana. So you're saying it's a straight swap. Does that strengthen you? Well, there's an argument there because there's a lot of Souček, as we know, haters out there. But
we know one in particular.
Yeah, I don't see it as a strengthening. I don't. If you're doing a straight swap, does that strengthen the squad? No, it don't.
I guess a player will bring something different. I mean, no two players are the same. And I'm with you. I'd like to see players frustrated on the bench because they're good enough to not be able to get a game because someone's keeping them out of the team.
Souček's had a rest now. Let's see.
It's exactly my thoughts.
Let's see. You know that he did all. You know, he played football nigh on for 2 years, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he was playing every game. You know, Moyes wouldn't even take him out of the fire line, would he? For a cup game.
Yeah.
He must have played about 58 games for us last season. Souček.
And this is a player that's accustomed to having a winter break.
Yeah.
You know, so the minute he arrived at West Ham, when we were in trouble in that January window, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, he literally didn't stop because then we got all the concertina games, got the Euros all concertinaed in, etc. So you're right, you know, and a player like this, I think he was running on empty, and
now he's out of rest. Let's see.
Let's see what happens.
But I mean, let's bring Onana in, but let's not be quick to just chuck him in and hook Souček and sell him.
My theory is
we don't need the money though, and this is the thing. It ain't like the old days where he's got to go because of the money. Well, if we've got Krasinski's money, we don't need to sell, do we?
No, we don't. We don't need to sell. And if the rumours are true that we got 150 million pounds or up to 150, we've only spent a third of that. And with all the players that we are linked to, if you sort of do the quick math with, I don't know, let's just say for argument's sake, just to appease everyone for a moment, but let's just say it is Lingard and it's an expensive left back Raum and it's Onana and a striker, etc. You're still only spending probably 90, 100 million more on getting all those.
And remember, the squad got weakened. The squad did get weakened with the loss of Yarmolenko, with the loss of Noble, with the loss of Fredericks.
Yeah.
So with these players going out, the squad's weakened straight away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have to replace them. Now the idea is to replace better. I think we've done that with Noble. Maybe not better, but I think we've replaced him.
We've got a younger player who's got the potential
to the future. So, and that's the type of signing realistically we love. What we give him, £6 million to get him in from Swansea. You know, for a Premier League modern day player. When you look off the back, we bought Bowen for 19, and you know, he was a top 10 player in the Championship. To get a player like him for 6 million, outstanding bit of business.
Yeah,
for me.
agreed. I've already spoken about him, but I'll just go over it again. You know, Ajibola Olise, he's gone to Sunderland on a 3-year deal with an option of an additional year. He's gone for £500,000, but you know, with add-ons, etc., and we got a 25% sell-on fee. You know, his value. You know, playing in the Championship, and if he does well, his value will go up. You know, to what we sold him for. He's still only 21. I wish him well. You know, I hope he does well. I hope he kind of proves us all wrong. Right, Nigel, Bradley, good evening to you. Transfer windows just feel very over exaggerated. So many rumours make it feel like we are not actually doing anything. This is the problem, isn't it? You know, people have got, I mean, I know I went through a patch a few weeks ago when you almost told me off in our chat, in like as if to say, do you really believe that? You do get, it's so easy to get sucked in, isn't it? Because there are too many rumours going around.
It's hard for me to sit here and go, well, no, because I don't. You know me, I don't. I sit here and go, look, what will happen when they hold the shirt up, whatever. You know, it's a washing machine, or helter skelter, as I called it the other week. You know, and this is the thing. People bought into this, I don't know, we need to know mantra, this information, this age of information, you know, and the next thing you know, you got like, you know, 20 odd West Ham YouTube channels doing shows about it, boring the life out of people. But these people still turn up, they love it. You know, I don't realise I'm the weirdo because I ain't bothered.
Yeah, I do actually. I got accused on Twitter. You know, I fucking hate Twitter, but I got accused on Twitter earlier today about doing clickbait, and you know, because
not drunk tweeting, then. So just someone had to go at you back.
No, not that. That was another one. But yeah, because I think I made a comment about. I think it was the Romano tweet earlier on about Broja. And I just said something like, you know, when the wind blows, you know, you'd get a different. So depending on which way the wind blows, you get a different story. And I was accused, well, you use clickbait to tell us all the players that we're signing. The one thing I try and really consciously try to do, and I'm not saying I'm different from others, but I consciously try not to say this is a done deal. I talk about players and I do player comparisons, etc. But I try to take the gloss off all these stories because people do get carried away.
Yeah, people got to see the line of giving your point of view and information, and actually, are you declaring it as this is going to happen?
This is going to happen.
So,
yeah.
You know, here I like to think we comment on it rather than dictate the message,
the mantra. Yeah,
yeah. You know, well,
yeah.
I could, you know me, I could say a lot of things that would get me into trouble. So, I don't get it. I don't get the need for it. But then again, I suppose different age.
Yeah. There's one other player I'm going to talk about very briefly, and I haven't loaded his. Have I? Let's just have a look down here. Have I loaded it? No, I haven't. Okay, I'm going to talk about him because I think it's important to. Now, I thought it was Divin Mbama, but it's Divine Mbama, who is another youngster I've been raving about for quite a long time. Now, interestingly, if Sonny Perkins had stayed at West Ham, he would have been in the pre-season warm-ups. However, with him leaving, it's given an opportunity for Divine Mbama to shine with the senior squad. Now there are four under 23 players or academy players that are left with the senior squad, and Divine Mbama at the age of 17 is one of them. Dan Chesters is another. I'm going to get it wrong. Harrison Ashby is another, and of course Connor Coventry. Those four players have stayed with the senior squad. Now I'm not suggesting anything by that, but it's quite ironic that Mbama had Perkins stayed, it probably would have been Perkins who would have been staying with the senior squad. Now, Mbama's been given an opportunity. He scored against, I think it was Ipswich. I think it was back hill. No, sorry, it was against Servette when we had our first pre-season. He's quite an interesting player. He's been top goal scorer in all his for the under 18s, scoring something like 16 goals, etc. And in an interview with Mbama, and I wonder if he was kind of taking a bit of a swipe. In an interview, I think it was today or yesterday, he talked about there being a chance and a pathway for young players at West Ham. And he talked about how much a young player, if he really wants it, and he continues to work hard, that's the pathway to sort of success. So Mbama's been with us since the age of 8. We all know that Perkins only joined us 4 years ago. We snapped him up, I think, from Charlton or Orient, I think it was. So Mbama's a West Ham boy, and he's bought into the ethos. And I just thought it was quite interesting that Moyes has kept 4 of the young. He's sent them all back, all the rest of them, the Okoflex, etc. But Harrison Ashby, Connor Coventry, Ashby, I think will probably go on loan next season if he doesn't actually break through. Connor Coventry, we've talked a lot about him, and you know, much the same as Mark Noble. He's had a couple of really good pre-seasons, and then he's gone out on loan. He had a great.
Well, it's time for him to be given a run of games to step up.
Yeah,
for me, Connor Coventry. This is the season, sort of do or die. So you know, I hope the fans don't get on Mbama's back if you don't play well, because you wouldn't want to see Barrack and Mbama fans, Barrack and Mbama, would you?
Barrack, you got it. Right, I'm going to go into the part of the show that's going to really interest you now. But I've got breaking news. I've got breaking news thanks to Nick from Claret and Booze. So this is all about women's football, Nigel. So please do bear with us. You can go to sleep in the background there in your shed if you want. First up is Kira. I do apologise. I've misspelt it. If family's watching, I sincerely apologise. I've misspelt Kira. There should be.
Look, you've been watching the Parliament channel again today.
Yes, Farmer. Look, to the Flannery family, my sincere apologies. I've misspelt the first name. Kira Flannery. There's an interesting story that Nick gave me. Apparently, when Kira went to see Konchesky. Paul Konchesky, he had this shirt hanging up behind him with her name on it and the number of her favourite player, number 41, Declan's number. And they kind of talked about West Ham and, about the potential of signing. And we're pleased to say that Kira has seen the light. She's left Arsenal and she's signed for West Ham United. Fantastic news. Look, she's a lifelong West Ham fan. Her whole family is. They've all got season tickets. Kira's had a season ticket since she's a young girl.
What position do you play still?
You know what? I don't know because Nick didn't tell me. You bastard. You absolute hound. Anyway, she's apparently committed to helping her realise her dream. Taking her to training on a regular basis, and she's got the dream. She's signed up for West Ham. Apparently, it's not broken on the website yet. So there's some breaking news for you people.
There you go, fantastic. Kira. It's what we want: a West Ham fan playing in a West Ham shirt, playing in West Ham. Oh no, sorry, playing in Dagenham. But anyway,
stop it. Wow. And Kira's represented England youth team as well. So number 4 seems to suggest that she's a holding midfielder. So let's go with that. Well done, Kira.
Well, look, the women are signing a lot of players. So,
mate, I was shocked, because I've got another one. Jesui. I'm probably misspelt this one as well.
Jesui. That's a song, isn't it? Jesui's a rock star, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, but she's a Republic of Ireland midfielder, and she's signed for West Ham as well. It was announced back in March, but she's only just joined the team. 20-year-old attacking midfielder, joins on a 2-year contract. Congratulations to you. You joined the best team in the world. So has Izzy Atkinson, another Republic of Ireland international. Prior to that, she was with Celtic.
Can I
She's
just
joined West Ham.
Can I
Go
just
on, mate.
point out? I'll give her 7 out of 10 for the Mockney Hammers there. That's quite impressive if that's her first attempt, because sometimes you get the wrists are too close together, or some
Yeah.
people just
She's
can't.
done
do it
well
like
in
this.
that respect.
So
She's going
the
places.
girls, I don't know if she had a bit of schooling in it, but done well. Yes, yeah.
Kirsty Smith. See, you shouldn't mock women's football, should he? Shouldn't mock women's football.
No.
Kirsty Smith, 28 years of age, has joined West Ham after signing from Man United. Smith was part of the Man United Championship team that won promotion in 2018, so we welcome her as well.
Come to get us out. See.
And finally, Sophie Hilliard, a promising 19-year-old goalkeeper, has also joined after switching from Charlton Athletic. Started a career with Bristol City, talent spotted by Man United. After a year there, moved to Charlton, and we've snapped her up. So welcome all. I was getting quite worried for the women's team because we were getting rid of all these players and not getting anyone in. All of a sudden, it's the way to do it, isn't it? Under the radar.
Good luck to the women's Dagenham Girl Piper team, United.
Let's do a bit more chat before we go into the final part of the show, which is everyone's favourite, which is, of course, transfers. Razor, tell Dodzi to stop drinking. I don't think I want to tell him that. Get away with Creswell for another season. Is he on drugs? Who's on drugs, Dodzi or Creswell? 2 seasons. I like Creswell.
I think that was me. That was me. Get away with Creswell for another season. Yeah, I did say that.
I think we were. We do need a left back, don't we? We do need someone that's going to come in and challenge him for that spot. 2 seasons of that incompetent Creswell. Well, I don't agree. I think Creswell, if you look at the 2 sending offs he had in the Euros, in the Europa League, the first one I think was really harsh, which was against Seville. And the second one against Frankfurt, he was exposed, wasn't he, by his centre backs, last man standing, unless I remember it wrong. No thought on that.
No, look, they were clumsy challenges. I think the first one was harsh, but the one against Frankfurt perhaps was going to go.
Yeah, Paul, this transfer reminds me of Who Shot JR. Yeah. I'm old enough.
But that was just a dream, wasn't it? Oh no, that was later. Wasn't it?
Oh no, that was his brother Bobby,
yeah,
who woke up in the shower or whatever. Let's not go there. Barney, another forum to knock Creswell. Some people look. I like Creswell. I do think he needs to be. He needs competition for that spot. But it's not his fault that we've not brought anyone in. Hi, Stel. Evening, and thank you very much, Lee. Much appreciated, Hammerette. No doubt the stream will go down again like the Reading one on the app. Oh dear, yeah, did that go down? I remember I was watching it, but mind you, I was out and I was trying to watch it on my phone, and it wasn't easy to do so. Mark, £100 a ticket for. Yeah, I saw that. Have you seen our prices for next season? If you're not a season ticket holder.
Yeah, but that's the 1966 seats, which are akin to corporate, and then. The funny thing about it is they're not far off what we were charging when we left the bowling.
Wow.
I think that was 6 years ago. So
yeah.
It's,
fair play. Yeah. Henry, I thought Rob Newman was supposed an amazing scout. Why haven't we been linked to some of the unknown Brazilian players from the Amazon playing in the 4th tier of Brazilian football? Fair enough. Saidi Sururu, good evening to you. West Ham United should sign more players to stop disappointment of last season. We didn't have players to replace when most of the players were off form. Yeah, true. I mean, we've signed 3, as you alluded to as well, Nigel. 3 major players have left, and we've kind of signed 3 back. But yeah, we do need a few more. Daniela. Downs transfers was kept quiet because it was not between the scum big clubs, so the media did not care.
There's a good point to that.
Is that a good point?
I think so. I think because the agents, the press and the agents were probably not heavily involved, and because it weren't a big money move, the agents weren't really, didn't have their snouts in the trough of that one as such.
Interesting. Okay, good point. Hammerette, Oggy doesn't look ready yet. Love the way Agerd played against Reading. Him and Zuma are going to be an immense pairing. Sharky agrees with you. I'd like to see as much West Ham content as I can, so I'm grateful for Channel I. Much appreciated. Thank you. Mark, Gonzo and Gio don't watch. Gio and Gonzo don't watch that after they put out the fake transfer story on purpose. How any of you fake transfer story on purpose?
News to me.
No, I don't know. I no disrespect. I don't kind of watch the channel, so I don't know. Was this now? Was this recently, Mark? I don't know, mate. Let's scroll down a bit more. AGP, if you have to double check a site's content, why watch it? Messed up putting out fake news. Did they do that this year? I don't know, mate. So let me know. Conan, maybe having two French-speaking centre backs on a front of a French-speaking goalie could be advantage. Yeah, good point. Yeah. Who else have we got down here? Let's go to Barney. Diop gone backwards, misjudges the flight of the ball too often, isn't great when pressed. Leeds in particular targeted him last season when we fell apart trying to cover his deficiencies. I think you pointed it out. Dawson was much the same. Dawson had an error or two in him as well, didn't he? Really?
Yeah, no. Look, these centre backs. Look at Dawson. You know, Dawson's played his career, isn't he? Watford, West Brom, and Rochdale. You know, and this is the thing I say. If these were world-class defenders, I hate to break it to people, they wouldn't be playing for us. So horses for courses. Yeah. What we got to hope is that we can get the best out of them while they're with us, and that helps propel us.
It's a good point. But Zuma is a top defender, yeah. But that took a while to get him.
Yeah. We got him off of Juventus's bench, I think.
I know you're talking about Oggy.
Oh, that's Juventus'
right. Bench, yeah.
Sorry, Zuma. No, yeah, but we paid. What did we pay for Zuma?
Nearly 30 mil, 26, 27 mil.
Even that, if it comes good, it looks a snip, doesn't it?
Huge. Why would you even think of selling Souček? Could you imagine a central midfield of Rice, Souček and Onana? Nothing would get past them and it will allow Souček to go forward. Yeah. Really good point. Ryan, only West Ham would take their player of the year, change his position and sell him. Feel sorry for... Shall we... What's your... I mean, you've seen the conversations I've had with others about this, you know, and my feeling about what happened last season. Let's go a season before that, when Souček was joint top goal scorer. Declan was playing holding midfield. Souček was doing box to box. Did it change last season, or did it not change last season?
No, it obviously changed last season. Rice, you could see, was going more forward, and one goes, one sits. That's the way it is. You know, the thing is, Declan is far superior on the ball. You know, and Souček hasn't got that in his locker. You know, Souček in a way is a water carrier. But every great team needs a water carrier. So, you know, what it is that when he joined us, he probably did too much too soon. He got a load of goals and people thinking, oh, brilliant, we've got this box-to-box goal-scoring midfielder, when probably he wasn't. It just, you know, and at the end of the day, he got some important goals for us last season. He got some important goals for us last season.
His goal tally in his career has been pretty decent. I think overall he's got something like 50 odd senior goals. All right, people are gonna go, yeah, but it's in the, you know, it's in the Czech league and all that. But you play where you play, don't you?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, our goal scoring threat has got to come from the three people in front of him.
Yeah,
that would be my argument. The goals that he gets should be like bonuses. He should not be joint top scorer.
No, in that respect, I agree with you.
And who was he joint top scorer with?
Antonio.
And Lingard was one goal behind him.
And Lingard was one goal behind him, yeah. Right, let's go, because I know you're chomping at the bit. Let's go into the last part of the show, shall we?
Just bring up one. There was one there by Andrew. A comment by Andrew.
Andrew's, I've lost it now.
Oh,
what did it say?
It just said, Andrew, I don't know who you are, but yes, I do know Terry Franks very well. The man's a legend. So you can pass on my my big hellos.
I didn't see that. My apologies, mate.
That's all right. It's just a name, not from my past, but someone I used to knock about with, and very funny.
Okay, cool. See, he's well known now, Mr. Khan here. Better known than us YouTubers.
Out of town.
this is the bit of the show where I think a lot of people are going to get upset. But we'll try and give you as a clear an update, or as clear as mud an update on what's going on in the transfer market. Let's start off with Broja. Now, look, we've heard so many different stories, and as I said, I did a show on Sunday, which is going to sort of change the what I'm even after saying what I believed was an update on Sunday seems to have changed already. Look, first of all, Broja's back from US. He's been sent home, as people have alluded to. It looks like he's carrying some kind of knock, and apparently the knock needs to be further seen to. Now, look, I've got a bit of an issue with this because you're out in America. You're going to be sort of using all the whatever facilities are available out there, and without a shadow of a doubt, they're going to be as good as, if not better than, what we have over here. Did Broja need to be sent back to have his foot seen to, Nigel, or is this a bit of a? I mean, all right, he's got that air shoe on or whatever you call it as well, but was it enough to send the player back, or is there more to it?
Well, who knows how it works? At the end of the day, he was sitting in that buggy with an air boot on his left foot, I believe. So there was obviously a knock there. Was he going to participate anymore on the tour? Possibly, they thought not. They could have flown him back for treatment. The first I heard of it was I got a text saying, "Oh, TalkSport are saying this," and then it was denied by certain people. And what is the truth? Who knows? Broja knows, possibly. Moyes knows. David Sullivan may know. And then what you get is you get all the others that want to, put their 2 pence in. Agents, representing him will want it be put out there. Then you get journalists, normally a junior journalist or Dan who wants to break a story. I mean, the bit I had about Broja, I did see something came from a national or a journalist for a national paper that's actually out with Chelsea.
Right.
So that's I did see what he had said.
I mean, if we're going to grade these transfers, we've heard the thing about and Scamacca's coming up in a minute as well. We've heard this rumor that Broja is a Moyes choice, and Scamacca, the Italian player, is a recommendation from the head of scouting, Newman. Is this typical David Moyes, where it doesn't matter what player gets suggested to him? And I know we talked about this earlier with the director of football, that it should be down to the manager should have kind of the final say. But is Moyes so stubborn that it doesn't matter how good a player is recommended to him, because if he hasn't chosen that player as himself,
well, yeah, but
he's so stubborn that he won't go for that.
I mean, Moyes is, I don't know what you possibly would now phrase as an old school manager. In a way, he wants to control things. But then again, I've always said, give him that control, because it's him that gets sacked. Sullivan ain't going to sack himself. So if there's failures, it's going to be, and these players, if you hand everything over to Moyes. Now, I think Moyes has brought Newman in. Yeah, and the reason,
that's my understanding.
The reason for that is, I don't know if people know, they played together at Bristol City. So Newman's a Bristol City legend. He was at City. He was a Bristol. He's a West Country boy, like Dodzi area down by there, Somerset, Gloucestershire border. Did his youth at Bristol City. I think he spent 10, 11 years playing for him before he went on to Norwich, where he played in the top flight. But then Moyes, when he came down to England, after he left Celtic, played for Bristol City at the same time, and they won, I think, the Freight Rover Trophy at Wembley together. There's a lot of history with Moyes and Newman going back there. I listened to an interview that was done, I think, in March or April on a Bristol City podcast with Newman, and he talks at the end bits and pieces about West Ham and what he did at Man City. And I'm not saying it worried me, but when pushed about, the players he brought in, his big find at City was David Silva, but he didn't come up with any others. And which, when you think, well, you was there 8, 9 years, 10
And
years.
he's the only player that he could.
This is what he didn't trot them out. Like you'd have thought being there that time.
I'm going to ask you a question then. Given that fact,
yeah,
and given what we kind of know of David Moyes, that he likes to he really does like to be in control. We kind of worked that out. It is his way or no way.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe bringing, and I wouldn't know why he would do that, so this is a bit of an odd question. Do you think that maybe then bringing Newman in means that he kind of knew the kind of scout he is, and he probably is having in there as a bit of a
someone he trusts? Basically,
is it someone he trusts?
I would. You would only do that. You would only bring in someone that he trusts. So he's got a personal relationship. He's working at the biggest club in the country, you could say, in Manchester City, with some of the best facilities and everything else. And he's got him to walk away from a very comfortable job at the end of the day. Let's not get that right. To come to West Ham, and Newman's not going to be silly. He's going to know, the circus act of a club that we have been with these owners. So to be able to get him to come and do that, there's got to be a lot of trust in Newman's ability and the ability of the pair of them to work together. It could be that Moyes selects a group of players, or Newman may bring in 5 or 6 players, have a look at these. Newman's speciality, though, at Man City was supposed to be, the near continent, Spain, France, Italy, that type of area. So, perhaps it shows, he's a guard. None of us really did. I don't know. Still, you may have.
I first
in the 65 players that you focused on in January that we signed, none of was a Gerd.
A Gerd wasn't there in January, but he. The first time we got linked to him, I read a story about a year ago. We were linked to him last summer, and then nothing came of it. And this is why I get quite cynical when I read a story of players that we're linked to from a year and a half ago. And then nothing materializes. I kind of become quite dismissive of it, and then I just say, and then when the story broke again this summer for a Gerd, I was like, oh, really? But there you go. You don't know what to trust, because it actually turned out to be a legit story. I've just seen this. Sean, are you winding us up, or is that actually a deal done?
No, I think he's winding us up.
Is he winding us up? Okay, that's good. So when it comes to Broja, we've heard quite a few things, haven't we, in the last few days? We've heard that terms have been agreed. We've heard that Chelsea will let him go, and then all of a sudden Tuchel's saying he ain't going to let him go. Talks about the player being a Chelsea player, and he was out in the US to prove himself. And now we're sort of hearing that maybe the player himself is pushing for a transfer, which is why he's flown back early. And now we're hearing about there being a loan deal rather than there being a permanent deal. And we kind of alluded to it earlier. We've got the so-called ITKs contradicting each other now as well, where one is saying the deal's almost done, another one is saying it's a loan with an option to buy. And we heard earlier on this evening that none of this is true. We're no closer to signing the player than we were 24 hours ago or a week ago. So when we come to a position like this, is it understandable that those fans who do follow it, and you could say more for them for following all the stories, etc., it's frustrating, isn't it?
Only if you let it frustrate you. At the end of the day, I used to laugh at Sean. He used to go, he's just a messenger. So, but in the theory, that's all they are. They're just messengers. They're given this information. It isn't information they've created. It's information that's been passed to, and they're passing it on. Who you choose to believe? Well, a lot of people criticise Sean. at Claret and Hugh, even though he's retired. People criticise him, but at the end of the day, he will say one thing, X will say the same thing. People will believe X, they won't believe Sean. Now, at the end
That's
of the
the
day,
irony of it, isn't it?
well, there is irony in it, but at the end of the day, you know, when you create yourselves as the pantomime villains, that's what you're gonna get. You know, that ain't garnered because of the information they put out. That's garnered by the type and the way they do it. So in a way, made the rod for their own back. But he knows that's what I think. So this is nothing new. You know, as I say, I've seen something from and it's not a tabloid journalist. It was a broadsheet journalist who's out with Chelsea, sends a message explaining what he thinks is happening with Broja. But, you know, then the story is put to people at the club, and people at the club are saying news to us.
Is that because the club want to keep things quiet? Or
Well, look, you know for the fact that there's a new communications officer now.
Yeah.
So the other one's left. They finally brought the new bloke in, and you know he is briefing websites, journalists, social media people. So, but I don't know if this is a clever move by the club to try and control now the information. It's almost like hands up, we can't stop this. You know, previous communication managers will probably bang their head against the wall because the club leaks like a sieve.
yeah,
You know, we can see that it leaks like a sieve because you've got people at the top, people elsewhere. All types of information gets out, from lineups to who we're buying to, you know, everything.
yeah,
So, you know, it's. I mean, look, there's a favoured journalist at Sky now.
Mr.
So,
Seth.
well, whatever. Yeah, he's obviously got a close relationship then with this new communications manager because he seems to be the chosen one. When, you know, 2-3 years ago, the bloke never used to say anything about West Ham.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, but all of a sudden in the well, this transfer window, now he's the go-to man on West Ham.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
and Andrew's back. Nigel, we met up in Leicester Square a few years ago, ending in Chinatown. Terry said you was the West Ham encyclopedia. He weren't wrong.
I do know who Andrew is then. Yeah, he's a cabbie. yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
that was a good night, that was. Yeah. In Leicester Square, yeah, in the Spoons, yeah.
So last word, well, for now, on Broja. We think the rumours, obviously, that there is some kind of link, but it's not as close as everyone's making out, is it? Not at this moment in time.
Well, and this is the thing. We say that, it's not as close. We don't know.
We don't know.
Because what you got is you got a certain section now. And I actually, this is, I like this now. This is what I want. We've got one side saying this, another side saying that. And I just sit in the middle and go, well, I look forward. Yeah, because I know the pair of them. I look forward to who's right and who's wrong. Yeah, because, you know, I am literally open on it. I can, you know, he's proved his worth. I know where he's getting his information from. So who's what? But they're both saying two different things. This is what I've waited years for.
Well, let's move on to this one because this one sounds a little bit more clear cut from what we were told today. Now, we put in a bid and it was confirmed by Sassuolo CEO that a bid had been put in. But the difference is that the bid hasn't been accepted yet, is our understanding. We're still waiting. Now, from what we heard today, and again, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt because, you know, it's only been given to us by one source. What we've heard today is that apparently, and we've been down this road before, West Ham United, apparently we're being used as a pawn so that the agent and the player, or the agent on behalf of the player, can get a better deal from where he is, or maybe move to a club in Italy and sort of like play us off against any other bids. Now, we've been here before, haven't we? We've heard this before with other signings where we've been told that we're very, very close to signing a player, only for that player to stay. It was that centre half in Italy again, who plays for Fiorentina, Milenkovic, last season. Kind of much the same thing. There was talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about the player being close to signing for West Ham, and all of a sudden the deal was off. And immediately after, that player got an extended contract at Fiorentina and more money. Now, I'm not saying that this is happening, but this is what we've been told today about Scamacca, is
Yeah.
that we have put a bid in. The bid has been acknowledged by Sassuolo because the CEO himself has come out and said it, but it's not yet been accepted. And the rumor is that the reason being is that what the agent is trying to do is trying to get his client a better deal where he is. Do you buy that? Do you get that?
Well,
Does it happen?
Yeah, well, of course it happens, and that's what agents are there for, isn't it? To try and get better deals, but to represent their player in whatever way they can. I wouldn't necessarily say in the best way, but we know that the Italians play a game a bit differently. Is Scamacca, does he want to come and play for West Ham? I don't know if he does or if he don't, to be honest. It's one of them where did we scout him? Was he offered to us by an agent? That agents will come. I said it before the other day. Agents will come. They'll go, "Do you like this player?" And the club will go, "Yeah." And they go, "I can get him," but they haven't told the bloke yet. Once the club goes, "Yeah, we'll have him," they then go to the player and go, "Oh, this club said they're interested in you. If you're interested, what do you think?" And the bloke who was perfectly happy sitting playing football at that club has had his head turned, hasn't he? And all of a sudden goes, "Yeah, I'm interested." And all of a sudden, a deal that was never in the pipeline's been created by the agent.
And this could be,
and he gets his cut.
Yeah.
Or if he's trying to renegotiate with Sassuolo a better pay rise,
the job's done.
Yeah, I mean, there's a funny thing though with Italy, or not a funny thing is you think of Juventus how big they are, yeah, in European world football, but they're saying Juventus can't afford to fund a deal. And just to show you about the money in Italy, 2 years ago, Conte won the title with Inter Milan. Sheffield United got relegated from the Premier League. Sheffield United got 120 million for being relegated. I believe Inter Milan got 84 million for winning the Scudetto. And that's why they want to have a Super League.
That's why they want a Super League. Exactly.
Yeah, because our finances, when you got a club that's fouled earning 40 million more than the team that's won a title.
That's won a title. Europe, yeah. So I think what we're saying about the Scamacca deal is like it's quite possible that it's not even remotely close to happening. But again, as you said, Nigel, we could be wrong. Tomorrow we might be told that he's signed, but it's looking. It was a nice dream when it was happening, but I tell you what, even I'm kind of really flummoxed by this because when I did the show, I actually decided last minute to do a show on Sunday, and Scamacca was one of them, and Lingard and Broja, etc. And I was quite calm about talking about these players because I have fallen into the trap of believing that we were really going to up our ante this week and we were going to end up signing probably 3 players. But it sounds like one by one.
Mozzie's here. Go on.
You got Mozzies in your shed.
Let me go and shut the door. I've had the door open because he's sweltering. You keep talking.
All right. So I've kind of like been dragged into believing all this, like I guess all of us do, and it looks to me now that one by one the players that we're being linked to this week are being knocked down. So the Broja thing, we're told that it was a done deal. It's near as damn it, which probably is probably not as close as we believe it is. It may happen, but at the best, by the sounds of it, it looks like Chelsea won't sell him. They'll probably loan him to us. But fine, better that than nothing. And now the Scamacca deal looks like it could maybe just not happen at all. And as Nigel's just alluded to, it could be more an agent talk and we bought into it, and we have made an offer, but it may not happen at all. Next up, our dear old friend.
I said they're like they're just everywhere. I've killed about 3 already. Yeah, I mean, in regards to this one, I don't know where I sit with it. I've always felt he'd be in a West Ham shirt come the end of August. I've always had this feeling that he will come to us, that he will realise that this is where he wants to play football. I don't know. I mean, the funny thing about it is there was talk about now that Rooney's gone to Washington.
Yeah, DC United. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the funny thing is, I think if Rooney had perhaps gone to California, or if Rooney had gone to like Florida and got a job there, it's possible Lingard may have fancied it. But I'm not sure that Washington ain't really a city that you think, oh, I'd like to go and live there, is it? If you're thinking of America, I'm sorry, at the end of the day, growing up in Manchester, he's going to think, oh, I'd love to be in LA. I'd love to be in San Francisco. I wouldn't mind being in Florida, in Miami, or one Fort Lauderdale, or anywhere out there, somewhere nice. New York, maybe. I mean, the level of football. I watched New York yesterday. I watched Red Bull New York against New York City. And I must admit, I've watched some of the women's football in the Euros and been a bit I've stomached 10 minutes of it. That's about all I could stomach of watching Red Bull City and New York City and New York Red Bulls. It weren't, it's a retirement home for a player like him. And at 29, he shouldn't be ready to retire. He should be going out there when he's 33.
Yeah, and
for me,
I think the thing that's worrying me is he's gone out. He's apparently spoken to Beckham's Inter Miami.
Yes.
He's also gone out and spoken to Rooney's DC United that you just said. And again, from what we're told today, is that he's just holding out for the highest wage. Now, I'll be honest with you. If he's, we know that this is potentially his last big transfer. Well, his last big contract. And if he's holding out for, say, a 3, 4, 5 year contract on very high weekly salary, he's not going to get it, is he? At 29 years of age. And it looks as if like one team after another are just knocking him back. We heard that Newcastle, again, if you believe the stories that you're told, we heard that Newcastle said no. There's no other team in England that is potentially going to be interested in him. Apart from ourselves and maybe Newcastle. And so if Newcastle have turned around and said no, you can't see a top 6 team bringing Lingard in at his age. And then it is abroad, isn't it? And again, just alluded to about Italy and not a lot of money there, not a lot of money in Spain, not a lot of money in Germany. There's money, but not quite the same sort of money as there is in the Premier League. And then that only leaves either the Far East or like the Middle East or whatever, and I believe there's some club interested in him.
Yeah, but I can't see him going out there, or anything. The thing about, for me personally, looking at Lingard, peak Lingard's for his wage demands was last year. Actually, after doing what he did for West Ham, it's quite possible that we would have bunged him a load of money to sign. If you'd have turned around and said this time last year, if we'd have said it's going to cost us 165 grand a week to get Lingard, I bet you over 50% would have said pay the money.
Get him in because of what he did. Yeah.
But the thing is, and I won't knock him for it, he's a Manchester boy and a Man United. He grew up at Manchester United. And at the end of the day, they are a bigger club than us. They are in the top 4 of the biggest clubs in the world. And if he wants to play for them, he's gone there. hoped Solskjaer would bring him in. Solskjaer, for whatever reason, and he showed with that goal against us, in that was at the end of August, like the talent he had. He come off the bench and scored an absolute, in a way, a goal. If you look at that, if he hadn't scored that goal, we finish above Man United.
Yeah, ironically. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But to do that, and then obviously once they brought in Ralph Rangnick, and it all went sour for him, wasn't it? You know, he didn't get a look in. So, for me, he's wasted a year of his life. If he'd have joined West Ham, he could have been going to the World Cup.
Is he coming to West Ham United?
I still
Is
think
it going to be his
he
last?
will.
Is it going to be his last choice? The only choice?
I don't know about his last choice or whatever, because I don't, we're told these things. We don't know if they're the truth.
Yeah.
Until Jesse Lingard comes out and says to me, well, Everton offered me, Newcastle offered me, Washington DC offered me, Inter Milan offered me, but I chose West Ham. Only then do we know. So until then, we only have to rely on what people say.
Yep. Okay, next up, Onana. Of all the transfer stories that I've been reading about and trying to get updates on, this is the one that I think it seems to be pretty much nailed on if we can agree a deal with Lille. Now, all right, they're valuing him more than I keep forgetting to update the slide there. They're valuing him much more than sort of what we've offered. Now, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier on and saying about having a squad. If Onana comes, I know what we'd like to have is to keep Souček and look in the future because we know Declan's going to go, etc. Would you be at all surprised if Onana did come? And I think he will, if Souček left.
Well, if Souček left, you've got to go and replace him, haven't you? You know, I spoke earlier. I said I'd like to see him come in, or defensive midfielder of his like. You know, I don't know a lot about the bloke. Not really seen him play. Apparently, he's somewhere between 6 foot and 6'9" in
He's
height.
6'5".
Yeah, depending on what Nick Killington's been drinking that day. So apparently he's a Peter Crouch of defensive midfielders.
Oh,
Peter Crouch was bloody good in my book.
I think he was quite a skillful player.
You know,
for a cool player, yeah. So you do read the messages that go in.
I do. Yeah, I do read. I just fucking flip past it. Oh, you two are at it again. My life. So I don't know what to say about him. In value wise, 30 million.
Well, he's come through.
He's the right age to buy as a. The only thing I would say is, for a 20-year-old, I think 30 million, because at the end of the day, if he did stay for 10 years, if he was that good, he stayed for 10 years, it's 3 million quid a year,
which is good.
Good.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, he's come through. He's had an interesting journey. I sort of talked about this before, where when he was in Germany, he actually went down a league in order to get first team football. Apparently, a couple of seasons ago, I think it was Bayern Munich and other top clubs were after him. They wanted to sign him, but he decided to go to Hoffenheim.
Yeah.
He dropped down a league in order to play, which is what got him noticed, and then he made the move to Lille. He's only had a season at Lille, and they only bought him for 7 million. So they'll make
internationally. Who does he play international football?
He does play international football
for
Belgium. He's Belgium.
Belgium. Oh,
yeah.
In their first team, is he?
He's just broken into the first team.
I mean, there's a lot of talent, and this is the thing. There's so many great players to have come out of the Dutch, the Belgium, and the French league in recent years. That sometimes, this is the market we all thought that we would be, we would be dealing in realistically. So, as I say, I don't watch French football, so I can't say, oh, he's good. And I don't play FIFA, so I don't know what his FIFA rankings are. So all I can look at is at the age of 20, I think 50 million's probably a bit much, and it is a bit out of our range.
Yeah, they're doing
As such for a
what we're.
player like that. But
Well,
they're
they're
going
doing
to
what
do that
we're doing
because
with
we're Premier
Declan,
League.
aren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're saying Declan's worth 150 million, so that.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Well,
Is he a third of the player Declan is? It's possibly he could be. Well, then they would go, right, well, give us a third of the money then.
Yeah. That's a bit of a noose around our necks, isn't it? Saying Declan's worth 150 million
and
because
that's
people gauge it on that.
That's why you're better off just going, I don't care what you offer, he ain't for sale. As soon as you put a figure on it, people then
will,
think
yeah,
they've got something to use against you.
yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, you know, I'm sorry to sort of dull people's thoughts, but we could just go back. Look, we think Broja, you know, there's something there, could be a loan deal. It looks like Scamacca may just not really happen at all. But as other people have been saying, he's been pulled out of friendlies that I also stated as well. He's been taken out of the firing line, not playing friendlies, etc., to keep him fresh. So maybe it's possible. Lingard, you think he's coming, but we'd rather have it all done and dusted, wouldn't we? We just can't keep going on.
The
Onana,
thing is, one thing as well is, you know, as Andy set up the transfer centre on the website, it'll tell you, I think there's 41 days left for the transfer window shuts.
still a long time. Yeah.
You know, come the last day, you can bet your life there'll be fans going, "Well, fuck's sake, sign someone." You know, well, right then. Let's, you know, I get it. We want to have players in at the start of the season, but you know, sometimes the best deals are done on deadline day.
Well, yeah.
And the thing is, it's all right saying, "Oh, we should just put the bids in and sign them." The players will sit there and know, well, actually, I might get a better deal on deadline day.
Yeah,
Or the agent will be saying, we'll have, you know,
we'll have
hold it
people
out,
fighting over
hold
you.
it out.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
the agent will be going to a bloke. There's no rush. Are you gonna? What do you do, Stel? When West Ham say, "Oh, I want your 25 quid for the Europa Conference League game," you paid your money yet? Have you?
No.
No. Why? Because they give you till the 5th of August to pay it. So what do? You make
what's
them
the
wait,
rush?
don't you? Why?
What's
Because
the
it's
rush?
better for you financially.
Razor's making a good point, and I sort of talked about this on the Sunday show. Why would Onana get? He wouldn't get much game time at Liverpool, and that's that. You know, the interest apparently is that he's wanted there in order to provide cover for Fabinho and Henderson. Whereas here, someone actually said, "I don't think he'll get much game time at West Ham." I think he would. I think he would get game time at West Ham. I don't. I think Onana's the sort of player that. You could actually see him being used quite regularly, you know. But whereas in Liverpool, you're absolutely right. You know, he would be like almost like second, third choice.
League Cup.
And
That's what it'll be. League Cup. Yeah.
for Liverpool,
Because at the end of the day, would he get? You know, he'll be coming on as a sub. Will he be like Champions League? No,
probably not yet.
really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they had, you know, when you look at, they had a bloke I used to love, which was Xherdan Shaqiri. I thought was brilliant at Stoke.
Yeah.
And he was really good at Liverpool. He never really cemented himself in. He was a bit part player there. And, you know, and that's what can happen at Liverpool. You've got to be that really world-class, top-notch player to actually be a regular.
Couple more before we go. Left backs. I mean, I didn't know where to start on left backs, and I spoke about Jordan Torunariga a few weeks ago. Now, apparently, we're negotiating with 2 international left backs, and many people believe that David Raum. Have I put the David Raum thing up? Many people believe that we're in for David Raum. Now, I read a story that apparently Raum said we're not high profile enough for him.
Yes,
play,
I have heard that.
Have you?
Yes, that was a while ago. Yeah, whether he said it or his agent said it, someone said it.
Yeah, someone said it. So Raum is good. I mean, there's no denying it. I know you know a little bit about German football, but we've been told that there's 2 internationals that we're dealing with. But when I looked at all the players, I mean, there's Layvin Kazawa. I'm not going to bother with him because Layvin Kazawa playing for PSG, we've been linked to him for about 3 years, and he's really fallen off the cliff when it comes to football. and he has an awful lot of injuries. He's got quite an attitude as well. Jordan Zamura from promoted Bournemouth, which I don't think there's much substance to that, because I wouldn't imagine that Bournemouth, having just been promoted, will want to sell their player. Luca Pellegrini, who's also been an international for one game, so you could call him an international. And I've spoken quite a bit about Luca Pellegrini. But then I go back to this player that I've just mentioned, and that's Jordan Torunariga. Now, he hasn't made the senior German team, but he's played for the German under 21s and under 23s or whatever they've got. And he's an interesting player because apparently his value will only be about £4 million. He sounds like a promising up and coming player, but he's 24, so I don't know how up and coming that is. But I don't know. Do you know any more about left backs that we might be interested in?
No, but I know of Hertha Berlin scraped staying in the Bundesliga. They got put into the playoff, lost the home leg, I think, to Hamburg 1-0. And then, unbelievably, no one thought they'd do it, turned it around in the second leg and ended up staying up.
Now, this young player, apparently, he's still got he's contracted for one more year. So I think that the talk is that Hertha Berlin are looking to cash in on him. Now, I don't know much about him, to be quite honest with you. I don't know how good. Well, you've just mentioned Hertha Berlin in terms of just getting out of relegation. But it's what we said earlier on. There's got to be a left back in line to be challenging 32-year-old Creswell, hasn't?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, Creswell by age, max 2 seasons, and then retirement. Realistically, you can see his game has dropped from its high, so he's on the downward spiral. In career-wise, I still think he's a good player to have, and he's one of them that he's been at the club a long time. Probably loves the club. He could stay another 2 years and be the bench left back, or play in the cup games and help bring a younger player through, give them experience. So.
And that's why the Torunariga signing sounds interesting, because he could be the sort of player that under Creswell's sort of guide, under his wing, could be a player that could become a better player. If Raum, I mean, Schmiegel, you're saying Raum, yes, please. I think we're all looking at Raum. I think he got something like 11 assists last season, etc. He's a machine down that wing. But if
I mean, Hoffenheim did well. I mean, this is the thing. If you're looking at the two, both playing in Germany, the most successful out of them was Raum at Hoffenheim. So, I mean, it's mad. Hoffenheim, sort of. I think Hoffenheim's a bit like MK, like Milton Keynes. Yeah. So you imagine Berlin, big city team, yeah, and Hoffenheim, but they've every season progressed, do well. They're now sort of our level, Hoffenheim in Germany. Okay. Just outside the Champions League places.
So therefore, a player like Raum is probably looking at a Borussia club, or
if he wants to stay in Germany, realistically, the next type of club for him would be Leverkusen, Dortmund, Mönchengladbach. That level. So yeah, that would be, if he wanted to stay in Germany. The team I'd sort of look out for, Cologne. We're a bit behind league placings wise. Hoffenheim at the moment, not far behind. So I think Hoffenheim finished in the UEFA Cup spots.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So
There's loads of other stories I can do. I mean, there were so many players, like I've kind of alluded to. There was Jordan Zamura that I haven't spoken about. I'm going to do a little bit about Kazawa in another show this week to give you all a lowdown of just how far from grace this player has fallen. I've talked about other players already, about left backs, Luca Pellegrini, etc. But I'll bring you all an update again, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, on all the other stories that are knocking around. But that's it in terms of stories and in terms of transfers. I'm sorry to put a downer on it because it doesn't sound like, there was the excitement, and I actually saw. I kind of like. I don't know if you saw Nick's show he did earlier today, where he was talking about 5 signings as if we're going to buy all 5, and he excited me, on Claret and Booze. And then as the day was going by and asking about each player, I started to get really scared. I'm like, Nick is going to absolutely lose his rag when because it isn't as rosy as we think, is it? All in all,
No,
but
but
like
it
you
never.
also said, don't have to. There's 40 days to go.
Yeah, it's patience, I suppose, is the key. We'll bring players in, you know. I guess, obviously, I think for a lot of fans, January blotted Moyes' copybook in a way by
Yeah,
bringing
we're
no
all
one in.
nervous. Yeah.
And to be honest, for 3 months, it probably looked like, we're all right. But, I suppose injuries started to toll. Not so much getting knocked out of Europe, because I still thought we put up a brave fight and nobody would have expected semi-finals. But I thought the finish to the league campaign, especially with 6 spot there for the taking, to finish above man, to finish in the top 6 again, never been done by the club 2 seasons running. History. We laughed when Moyes says he'd come here to, I'm a winner. I'm gonna, get to create history and whatever. And while finishing 6th and then 7th, I don't think's been done before in the past either. It's still the 2 consecutive highest finishes in West Ham's history. 2 top 6 finishes when all we talk about is the big 6. To be in that group for 2 seasons running would have been outstanding, and all it would have needed was a couple of extra players. I can see it now. A couple of extra players. That second half against Brighton, was just soul destroying, wasn't it?
It was.
And it reminded me, funny enough, of the last season at Upton Park. Exactly the same situation.
Yeah.
We're 1-0 up at half time against Stoke away, and I think if we'd have won that, we'd have finished 5th.
Mm-hmm.
And Stoke had nothing to play for, win 2-1, and Southampton leapfrogged us, and we finished 7th.
Yeah.
So,
I think the more galling was the fact that Man United were losing.
Yeah,
Man United didn't win.
That's the thing. They've finished 6th in the UEFA Cup spots by losing. And it's just, we've fought so hard to just let it slip there. That's obviously it is disappointing. I think with a couple of players in January, as I said, Moyes could have looked at the bench and went, I can get better than that. I get it. He looked at the first team and went, I'm not being offered better than that. I can understand that, but sometimes you've got to look behind you as well.
Yeah.
And go, actually.
Well, it's the comments that Moyes made, isn't it? About, I'll more or less grind this team into the ground, etc., etc. That's all very well, but I mean, he actually literally did do that. And I think I get why fans are nervous about the transfer window. And I think, to be quite honest with you, I think we've started off really well. Getting the 3 players in that we have done so far. One could argue it's only 2 because Areola was going to come anyway, but even that took a little while.
The thing is, we are blinkered as well, because what we do is we look at who we're signing. Yeah, we look at where we finished last season in the league, the last 2 seasons. We look at where we were. We look at we're signed, and we think, we get these in, we're smashing top 4. And what we ain't done is we've not looked at Villa, we've not looked at Tottenham, we've not looked at Newcastle, we've not looked at Wolverhampton or whatever,
and see what they're doing.
The last time we brought in loads of players in one transfer window,
didn't go well.
Did it?
Yeah. That was the first season in the new ground.
Yeah, it was pitifully nightmare, and the club imploded off of the back of it. Too many players in one go. It just couldn't.
And this is the balance, isn't it? Because we're all saying we need at least 6 or 7 to stand still.
But what's my mantra always been? evolution, not
Yeah,
revolution.
yeah, you do say that. You do say that. I think, I think it sort of goes back to this whole question then about the youngsters. Were
Mm.
none of them good enough to it? But at least fill, not, even if they are sort of 5 minutes at the end, 10 minutes at the end,
He
or
did
whatever.
bring Ashby on in a game, and I thought he played really well.
Yeah, Ashby and Chester's actually, and people mentioned them earlier on. Chester's. It's funny because it's interesting. I don't think many fans are really upset about Perkins leaving. No one's been up in arms about it. Whereas I would have been up in arms if Chester's been let go. He's a much better. He looks more accomplished than Perkins did. I like Perkins coming on, but you could see he was lightweight.
But this is where, and this is the thing, I complain a lot about the social media stuff that the club put out. All these videos look fantastic, and they clip them all and everything. Yeah, so they'll get the under 23 and they'll clip it down to a 30-second or 1 minute video and bang it out on the social medias. Look at this one, this 10-second clip of Sonny Perkins beating 3 kids, hitting top bins. Ah, what a goal that is. And then what you don't see is he's just beat 3 15, 16-year-olds and put it top bin against a 17-year-old goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Well, Premier League's a bit different to that, I'm afraid. Yeah, but that's an argument for another day where we talk about should we be playing reserve football, bringing back proper reserve football, because half of our bench don't play games. When does when
And that's the point I was making for Diop. When Diop came in, he was rusty. He was rusty because he wasn't getting any games.
But if they were playing reserve football, every other week, you have a Wednesday afternoon combination league where you could have it. You have 50% from your first squad, 50% of your youth team. Or have a cup competition like that where it has to be 50% from your 25, 50% from your youth team, and that's what toughens these youngsters up. Why do you have an under 23 football team for a start?
Well, this is the question I asked earlier on. Should we just? Well, there used to be reserve team football.
Yeah, youth stopped at 19, so it was under to play in the Youth Cup. I'm pretty sure Paul Allen's the only player to ever win the FA Cup before he won the Youth Cup. So he was 17 when he won the FA Cup, and then he still played in the youth team in 1981 when we won the FA Youth Cup against Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he'd had that combination bring up. We did a podcast recently with a player from the 70s who never made it at West Ham. But he tells the story how, 15, 16, they're playing reserve football. They're brought in to play, and they're looking around and thinking, blimey, it's Billy Bonds here, coming back from injury.
Yeah.
Look, people like that, Trevor Brookings, players that come back from injury don't get game time now, do they? But they used to. I remember bunking off school to go and watch Trevor Brookings come back from an injury.
Yeah.
The only thing is he didn't bloody play.
Folks saying last time we brought in a raft of players, they were rubbish, mostly freebies and squad fillers. We're actually targeting genuine talent on this occasion.
He says that, but then, Norvite was the Champions League central defender. Yeah, Gökhan, the flying winger from Turkey.
They were all
they
actually...
weren't, and this is the thing, they weren't what he's
They weren't
just
rubbish,
said.
but they just...
They were supposed
but it did seem scattergun.
Yeah, they were supposed to be decent players from Europe.
We've done 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's enough.
We've just upset everybody on the transfer window by telling everyone we may not be getting as many players in as we want or as we think we're going to get. Mate, been a pleasure as usual. Thank you very much. Any last comments before we go?
Finish that article.
I will.
Download the audio.
I will. I'm going to. I know. I'm writing. I don't want to tell people what it's about, but we kind of touched on it a bit earlier on. But I'm going to try and sort of do, because we do just talk about transfers and it becomes quite mind-numbing. And I'm actually writing a different article, something a little bit different. And when I've done it, Nigel's going to have a look at it because he's the He's better at these things than I am when it comes to written stuff. But I'll do it as a show as well. So once I've got it written up, put it out as an article, and I'll do it as a show as well. So look out for different shows.
Don't forget the fantasy football. Even I
I've
might
done that.
put a team. We'll have to
I've
put
done
a
that
team.
right at
We'll
the
have,
start.
oh, yeah, all right. Oh, we'll have to
Yeah,
put a,
you know what? I've gotten rid of the bloody. Have I still got? Let's see if I've still got the slide.
I'll have to do it.
Here we go. Don't forget, people, join the Fantasy Premier League, 6foot2.co.uk, Claret and Booze and West Ham Voice Fantasy League. There's the league code, 7RN, 1am. We'll join. I'd never bloody follow it, but we'll join. Thank you all very much for watching. And of course, thank you for all your comments. My apologies. I have been trying to put them up, and I know I normally talk them through, etc. So I do apologize for not doing that as much as I normally do. But I think it's been quite refreshing to have a guest on a Monday night show, because you normally just listen to me rant on for 2.5 hours. So I do appreciate, Nigel. It's much. Thank you for that, mate. And we'll do it again soon. We'll probably do a Friday night late again soon, because they're quite good fun.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all your comments. And watch out, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, hit the like button and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean. And we'll see you all
Don't
soon.
forget this bell. Stell's bell.
Oh yeah, hit the all that crap. Yeah.